and welcome back to Where There's a Will, There's a Burnden Way for episode 4. My name is Will Jones. I'm on my own once again this week, but only through choice. We've got plenty to catch up on and a lot to get through from the last week or so. So without further ado, let's get started. Chronologically then, starting with Monday, Ian Evatt rightly had his red card and touchline ban from last week's defeat. That's a tram overturned after some awful officiating. That isolated incident was just one of many wrong calls, as I touched on last week. I'm sure that won't escape the memory anytime soon. Nevertheless, it's handy to have Evo ready and back on the touchline for what was going to be Tuesday's game away at Mansfield. Disappointingly though, it was then called off, which we'll just get to in a minute. It was also announced on Monday that Northampton Town had taken former Wanderers loanee Peter Chioso on loan, having been recalled by Luton earlier in the month, where he didn't feature for his parent club and was therefore expected to rejoin Bolton, but has opted for a step up to League One with Northampton. It's a move that makes sense for the player. Obviously not from our standpoint, but obviously given that we appear to be favoured to bring him back, I can't say I blame him for going. It's just a shame that we couldn't have him back, given the extensive impact he's had since coming to the club. I wish him well at Northampton. I'm sure he proved to just be another one of those that got away, unfortunately. But on Tuesday marked 6 years since fans' favourite Adam Lafondra first joined the club on loan. I've had the privilege of chatting to Alfie on many an occasion on the Line of Vienna podcast and regularly on Twitter. Oh, how we miss him. More importantly though, it also meant match day, Mansfield away, as previously mentioned, which surprisingly, for the first time in as long as I can remember for where Bolton are concerned, the game was called off as early as 12:30 by the host, which, while such a call would normally be questioned given the cold snap and the risk of injury obviously, the groundsman commented on Twitter that by mid-afternoon the pitch was playable. So I'm still not sure he made that decision or why it was so early, but never mind. It's not too much of an inconvenience as it's now been rearranged for this coming Tuesday. It's just a little bit strange to get used to, obviously, at this level. I think it's the first time in about as long as I can remember, where Bolton are concerned, where a game has been called off for such a reason. But there we are. This is the level we're at now, sadly. But yeah, whilst we were without a game, Wanderers had to endure. Firstly, former Wanderers loanee George Taft. He's obviously a current player at Wanderers. He's now out on loan at Scunthorpe, I believe it is, where he's kept a clean sheet once again. One obviously I wish we kept for sure, whilst thanks to scores elsewhere. Momentarily we dropped to 20th in the league as well. Fortunately, due to later goals, we're back up to 19th, but even so, a little bit of a scary moment to drop to 20th, being quite a notable position of concern, I suppose you could say, in the league. Even though it wasn't for long, I mean, don't get me wrong, the league's still wide open, but for any club, I think, 20th, it's a little alarming, shall we say. Anyway, on to Wednesday. Never mind about that cancellation. It's obviously can be resolved, or postponement rather. Wednesday, another former Wanderer, Keane Bryan, then bagged the opener for Sheffield United at Old Trafford against Manchester United on Wednesday. A goal tally which they then doubled and was enough to see off United. A result that many Wanderers fans were afforded a smile at, I have to say. If nothing else, there's not a lot else to cheer about at the moment. Well, I say that, we haven't got to Saturday yet, have I? Anyway, Thursday was a bit of a biggie, I have to say. Plenty of talking points. So crack on with that. Firstly, Regan Riley appeared set for a move to Norwich for a fee in the region of about 250,000. I don't know what to say about that one really. I was a little bit sceptical, I have to be honest, even about mentioning it, given it's not actually official yet. It is an unconfirmed leak, which, as I touched on last week, it does need to stop. Although it does seem pretty set in stone, I think given that it's that far along the line, I can kind of say that it would be a loss for Wanderers, given the glimpses we've seen of Regan earlier in the season. Hopefully he's put to good use by Norwich should he go. I'm sure both the rumour and the move itself will be a concern to the club, given firstly it's another breach, and secondly it's a loss of a promising talent. Anyway, shame, but not a great start to the day. It was then it was unfortunately worsened in Ian Everett's presser when he announced that we'd be without club captain Anthony Sarcevic for at least a month. That's due to a groin injury. A big loss for Wanderers, though. One which I don't like saying this. It's never nice to see an injury come about, but it might be somewhat of a blessing in disguise for others looking to compete for a place. I think they're very much still up for grabs with us looking to find a winning formula. Although that's, I wouldn't say irrelevant now, but we'll obviously get on to Saturday very soon. But yeah, it is something which obviously now allows us to look a little bit more at the change of shape, and someone else take the armband and to see if that makes a difference. Like I said, I'm not happy that Sarcevic is out for one moment. It's a break on the sidelines for him, which many have said it perhaps welcomed before long, but it's never nice when it's enforced, is it? Especially for that length of time. I mean, he did maybe need off a week off at some point, in my opinion, but I can't say I'm happy about losing him. He's obviously regularly popped up with goals, and whilst he's been a scapegoat for many recently, he's certainly an anchor in the side and a figurehead which we've been able to rely on for both service to Owen Doyle and for goals from Sars himself. So that the stage was set for Saturday really to see how we cope without him. Before that though, whilst as I previously mentioned and previewed in last week's show, the Supporters Trust AGM. Featuring Andy Gartside and manager Ian Everett. It's a big event in the calendar off the field for Wanderers, which I have to say I was honoured to be a part of. It went really well. It was on for about an hour and a half to 2 hours without a hitch. It included an update on the trust and the books, the memberships, and just the relationship with the club really. And then obviously there was a Q&A hosted by the great Jack Dearden, who I'll be contacting him shortly about an episode with him hopefully in the near future. But yeah, the questions have been collated over the past few weeks and obviously put to the club's two representatives who spoke really well. They answered some tough questions with real professionalism, and they were great with us, the board and the fans, particularly to say it's the first time that they'll have met the manager especially. They're both a great credit to the club. They were excellent on the night, and they boosted the general consensus and outlook, I think, from the fans both onto the trust and the club, no end. So big thanks to them for that, and well done to the rest of the board, I have to say, for their organisation of such a well-oiled event. It will be available for all to watch back shortly on the trust website at your convenience, as requested many a time recently. Friday then, a club statement took centre stage which announced the departures of coaching staff and club stalwarts David Lee, Jimmy Phillips, Gavin McCann and Nicky Spooner. Academy-based coaches who've been great in the setup, and particularly in the last year or so in their roles with bringing the youth through, as we downgraded the academy as well. Though that's kind of meant that they've effectively surplus the requirements now, which is a real shame, although it has been kind of inevitable for some time now. Nevertheless, it is sad to see them go, especially David Lee and McCann and Phillips as former players, the legends in many of fans' eyes. Although it was all kind of before I was born in their playing days, I know how well they're respected. So yeah, I do wish them well in their respective futures, and I hope it's not the last we see or hear of them in and around Wanderers. Now Saturday, game day, Leyton Orient at home. A winnable game, and that it proved to be a 2-0 win. Happy days. Fantastic result and a performance overall. Goals from Harry Brockbank, his first for the club. That's subject to confirmation, given it suspiciously looked like an own goal, but I'm sure Brocky will claim it, and why wouldn't he? And of course Owen Doyle, that was his 10th of the season, only the third Wanderer to hit double figures in the last decade. 3 more and he'll have the most in this century, I believe, which would be some feat, even if it is at League 2 level. I could see him getting 20, to be honest. He's in form, he looks hungry for goals. I really keeps this up, as I do, the rest of the team. It was an excellent run out across the board, really encouraged by it. Even without Sars, I think we look strong. Could have maybe had 6, I think, really. Quite a few missed opportunities in front of goal, but 2 was enough to seal it in the end. We looked really comfortable in the middle, especially young George Thomason putting a real shift there. 4-4-2, to be honest, just looks to favour us. I think we need to kind of go with that now, especially at the back with Alex Baptiste and Ricardo Santos looking an assured partnership, and with King Arthur starting and playing a big part in both goals. We looked a real threat on Saturday, I think, as we will to any defence now, hopefully. Is this where our fortune changes? Fingers crossed, watch this space. I think I'd almost stay unchanged as well for the rearranged game coming up against Mansfield on Tuesday. Maybe bring in Declan John at left back now he's fit. I know he appeared for the last 10 minutes or so on Saturday. I think it can only be a positive addition. But other than that, I keep it the same. Obviously review it again, of course, should the results not come, and or when Sars comes back, whichever comes first really. Hopefully Sars, that'll be a less of a headache and a nicer dilemma to have, I have to say. Anyway, I think that's all bases covered for this week. I don't think I've missed anything. If you think I have, do let me know. As always, get in touch on the socials for any particular content you'd like to see. That's at WTAWTABW everywhere. And it's at WIL1J on Twitter for me, and WTAWTABW at gmail.com for all business inquiries. Like, comment, subscribe, share everywhere else, and on whatever platform you listen to us on. And I think that's about it. So thank you very much for listening and tuning in to the 4th episode of Where There's a Will, There's a Burnden Way. I've been Will Jones, and I'll catch you next Sunday, the 7th of February, for episode 5. Bye now.